Honestly, the more I see Attack on Titan adapted to the anime, the more I realize John might actually be my second favorite character in this show. He's always been one of my personal favorite characters in the Attack on Titan story, but honestly, Aaron's always been my number one, especially since the ocean stuff happened, but I think John might actually be my second favorite. I just love the transformation of his character from season 1 being one of the biggest Aaron haters to then over the course of it maybe still being upset that, Mikasa clearly likes Eren more than she likes him, but respecting the dude, to now being one of the most neutral opinions on the rumbling, on one hand defending it, on the other hand not wanting to look at it and just fear it. And to see his actions in this episode and how ultimately this is a band of two sides who used to try to kill each other, and now both sides don't know if they can work together, but they do have a very common goal, and that is to stop the genocide of the world. And the thing about Isayama's writing that is so great is that unlike a lot of authors who just make a world and then just roll with it, Isayama took influence of our own history, our own generals and military people. I mean, Commander Pixis himself is based on a real-world person, right? And the idea of the cycle of violence and just what people can do push come to shove. We're always in wars. Basically, the beginning of time all the way to recent actions right now that we can look in our own news cycle. And I think that's what makes certain actions in Attack on Titan all the more impactful with recent wars and everything that's been happening in our own society. That even if there is a large portion of governments and military might that are aiming to kill you, can you justify destroying the whole world to save your own life? And most people cannot. Of course, there's some people who watch and read Attack on Titan who just completely argue, no, they started, and therefore Eren's completely justified, let's all hail Eren. But I mean, the whole point of Isayama is to explain that when this happens, if someone was handed a loaded gun that no one could stop and that could unlimitedly fire a bunch of bullets to take out everyone to save your life, could you look at that friend and family member and not want to do anything to stop it? And most people, would not support a global genocide. It's very easy to look at characters like Hanji and say, oh, just saying genocide's wrong, it's sugarcoating it, and it's not looking at the grand picture. But none of them and a majority of the island doesn't want to live if it means the cost of everyone else dying. And the fact that basically if they were to stop him, they might have a few more years before they have the skills to retaliate, guts to retaliate, and very much they might all end up dead. But as we clearly have seen throughout our own history as well, despite it being clouded in war, diplomacy and talking things over is always going to be the preferable option than just slaughtering an entire race, country, group, individual, whatever it might be, even if it's no guarantee that you live in the process. And I think that's what makes characters like Armin such a needed addition to this part of the story, because that's been his main go-to. Season 1, the first big moment where Eren had guns pointed on him, he was the reason that entire thing got de-escalated. But right now, Armin feels pretty down about himself. And to see all these different sides, and the fact that of all the characters who could have thrown it in their face, Yelena being the one to point out all of their sins, these big things. Reiner destroyed the walls. Had the walls not come down, had Eren's mother not been eaten, he might not have launched the rumbling in today's market right here. You have Annie, who basically has killed so many people, was one of the biggest threats at the end of season 1. You have Gabby, killed Sasha. All these people have done so many different things, and none of them are without their grave sins. And if we rewind to the beginning of their history, who launched the first attack? It wasn't Marley. But it doesn't change the fact that throughout corruption and warped history and basically implanting in the brains that the islands are devils, just look at this commander right here. He very much is like, you guys are devils. You did everything that we were fearful of. But also completely ignoring how they were living under fear for so long and they were just fighting back for their own lives. It basically comes down to both sides had tunnel vision, and history and just the actions of one king and one ruler and this and that has created this cycle of violence, and no one has just basically tried to talk it over after knowing the full truth on both sides. And I think that's what's kind of annoying when it comes to people talking about Attack on Titan, especially when I was reading it month by month, is that there definitely were these wild fan theories that people got upset when the fan theories didn't turn out true, or just the idea of getting upset that people like Armin and Mikasa want to stop Eren, but very much so don't want to kill him as of right now. If they did, they would have already told Annie that they are willing to kill. Right now, they want to talk to Eren because they haven't had a chance to truly talk to Eren after learning everything that's happened. Can you? They don't know, but at the same time, we don't want to just basically stop Eren and then just hope the world's going to listen to us. We want to have the attempt to talk with the world and try to say, see, we both have done these horrible things. You've launched Titans on our wall, we've launched them on yours. Let's try to end this suffering. At the same time, they don't want to just kill Eren because they're fearful of Eren. They want at the very least try to talk to him. And I think the idea of dialogue, it's something that's not cheesy, it's not unrealistic. It happens every single day in the real world. And we see what happens when leaders decide to just invade countries and push even more of killing on innocent people who did no wrong. And yeah, there's a lot of people in Marley who think they are devils and did all these things, but ultimately a lot of it was brainwashed and corrupted history, and most people are going to end up suffering under the rumbling. And that's what makes Attack on Titan so great, is that you have these characters who have all committed, in any other situation, might be the biggest sin of them all. You know what I mean? Just killing an innocent person who learned your secret, almost disregarding a child's safety, destroying walls, all these different things. But the idea of them they have a common goal as it stands, and if it doesn't come to, like, Eren not stopping unless they kill, they can work together. We have the teaser, we have to go take back the harbor, the Jaegers have it. But ultimately, it's not really about saying, did Eren do something right or wrong? It's more of, the idea of what Eren's going to commit, most people agree, isn't the solution. But why Eren committed this act, it's understandable given everything that went down. And most characters might end up doing the same thing and put into his situation with that much power and all those memories flowing through his head. But the idea of the cycle of violence and how Isayama wrote it to mirror our own world, our own history, and the things that have yet to come when he wrote this type of stuff. It's based on such a realistic thing that you're supposed to look at it not as the world of Attack on Titan, but it's written in a realistic way, that this very well could have happened in our own world, and we've had similar things happen in our own world. And what would you want to happen if it was your country versus the world? Would you really want the entire world to be stomped to death, or would you hope for a peaceful resolution, even if that peaceful resolution might mean you die in the future? That's what makes this story so brilliant, and when people, basically streamline it and skim it down to just Eren's doing right or Eren's doing wrong, you lose so much of the substance that this is going for, and that's what makes Isayama and, honestly, Mappa's approach to Season 4 so great. Now, this episode wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It definitely had production issues. I think there was 40 different shots of just trees. And the reason being is that the rumbling is a very strenuous thing, and we're going to obviously see more of the Colossal Titans walking. We'll probably see Eren's Titan and things like that, and just the action coming up with the last few episodes. It's understandable that a dialogue-heavy episode that was incredible with what they're saying, the voice actors knocking it out of the park. But yeah, in terms of the still shots, I would have much preferred looking at the characters talking with basic mouth flaps than seeing the same damn tree 20 different times, but I digress. But thoughts and feelings if you have any, because this is a pretty heavy episode, and I just love these types of concepts and just how morally conflicting it is, because you can see why Eren's doing what he's doing, but also you understand how destroying the world also isn't something that should be easily just settled upon and cheered upon. It's just so great to see how both sides, the manga and the anime, have adapted this, and it's incredible to see where they're leading up to with episode 12 here. But thoughts if you have any, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.